Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Ledgerwood and I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. Before I begin, I want to start by saying that what I'm about to talk about is based on scientific fact rather than opinion, and I think it's important that everyone should know the pros and cons of RFID chips and RFID technology so that everyone can make an informed decision on their own. RFID stands for radio frequency identification, and it's used for many different things. Some of them you use every day on a basis without even thinking about it. Some of the uses are in credit cards and debit cards. The identification tag in it is used to help with the transactions, such as swiping your card to get gas, going to the ATM, anything like that. You're using it even if you're not thinking about it. It's used in the freeway passes, so you don't have to stop at toll booths. If you have one of those, the easy access pass, you can go in without even worrying about paying or stopping to pay. It can be used with tracking products like mail, anything like that. That's how they keep track of where it is. They can scan it and tell you where it was at, where it's going, where it's leaving from. It can also be used to help with inventory control. They can keep track of what's where and how much of what they have in warehouses. It's also helpful with pets, especially dogs, if they run away from home a lot or they get out, if they go roam free. You can have their address, phone number, owner's name, anything like that, and if they are lost and found, they can scan it and find their way back home. You can also keep vet records on there, shot records, anything like that, so when they go to the vet, you can scan it and tell what shots they've had, where they had them at, when they had them, what they need, anything like that. And another common form of RFID technology is the RFID chip, and they actually implant that, usually in the hand of a human. There's different types of chips that they use. Sometimes they have like the bracelets or the ankle bracelets, and they actually use that in house arrest case sometimes to tell where they're at, what they're doing. They can tell their heart rate, anything like that. And then, of course, the implantable kind that they put in your hands. The pros of RFID chips and RFID technology is that it makes tracking really anything really easy and quick to do. They use it in hospitals sometimes with all the equipment. If there's chaos going on and the nurses need to find a certain material, they can track it quickly and figure out where in the hospital it is without having to ask anybody. They also put it in Alzheimer's patients sometimes whenever, or anyone with a disorder that can be irresponsive, and if they can't speak for themselves, they can put it in them and tell their medical history, their medical records, what medicine they need, anything like that. So if they can't speak for themselves, the doctors can figure out what they need to make sure they get the right treatment quickly. It also, if everybody had one, it would make solving crimes really easy, because if there's, say, a murder and the victim was laying there, police could actually figure out which RFID chips were within a certain radius of the victim at the time of the murder and come up with suspects without any witnesses to the crime. And they could bring in the right people for questioning. They could solve mysteries faster and more efficiently. The cons, of course, can have any kind of muscular problem, reaction to it, scar tissue, anything like that if it was implanted incorrectly or anything like that. The adverse tissue reaction, your tissue can become inflamed and painful if it's not put in right. Of course, there's also migration of the transponder. It can actually move around and not stay in place where it's supposed to be. Of course, with the easy tracking comes your loss of privacy. Anyone can tell where you are at any time. There's actually, sometimes they can figure out what you eat, when you're sleeping, when you're awake. They can tell your heart rate, pretty much what you're doing based on that. They can tell your shopping habits, where you shop, where you go, where you've been, anything like that. Anyone could get a hold of your information, and it could be in the wrong hands really quick. It can actually cause electrical hazards sometimes near any kind of other electronic device. In some cases, the signals can get all jumbled up and mess with that. Another problem with the RFID chips is that they're having a hard time standardizing them within other countries, so it's hard to get it all the same. Of course, sometimes they shut off before their life expectancy at times, and they may not just work altogether. And sometimes it can be incompatible with MRIs. If you had to have an MRI, it could mess with the signals and give you false readings, anything like that. And basically, there's just no such thing as a secret getaway with them. So now that you know some of the pros and the cons, you surely should be able to make somewhat of an informed decision of your own about what you think about RFID chips and RFID technology. Again, thank you all for coming out, and have a great night.